customer talking, right? Because a lot of people don't know how to do interviews, right? How do you get the customers talking? So first of all, ask open-ended questions. Don't ask question, do you like this? The answer is yes or no. And if they say yes or no, a lot of times it is a dead end. It is a dead end. Ask open-ended question. For example, describe your experience on anything. That's the open-ended question. Because then they start what? They start describing, right? They start describing and talking, and then let them talk. And then, of course, you can always probe them a little bit, right? You can always probe them a little bit. So one of the sample questions could be, tell me how a typical day for you looks like, right? And people will start talking. People like to talk about themselves, right? People will start talking, and you will start getting insight, and you can start asking as they kind of continue their conversation while intently listening. You can ask follow-up questions once you start getting that insight, right? So again, understanding a day in the customer's life is as critical as anything else, right? So this is actually very good conversation starter. Describe when and how you performed a certain task. Again, depending upon whichever industry, whichever product you are trying to sell, right? For example, in my previous company, I would go and ask the customer, describe when was the last time you, set up the payroll for the company, right? Because it was a payroll application, right? And then describe your experience with that, and then can you show how you did it? Actually, that's even better, because then the customer would start opening a bunch of Excel sheets in front of us and start flipping through tabs, right? And have a big calculator in front of her desk and start crunching numbers on that. And we actually are understanding and seeing and observing what she does and what she goes through, right? And why is she opening so many different Excels, and how complicated or not her workflow is, right? It starts telling you a lot more than you otherwise. Okay, tell me about some of the challenges you experienced while doing that, or describe, right? And they start talking, and then really shut up at that time, right? Listen, and then you have to ask why 5 times. I'll cover that, more, because again, you do that to actually get to the root cause instead of actually just understanding the symptoms, right? And then once they explain you the challenges, you can ask them, how did this affect the broader outcome? For example, how does this affect her role, her department, the performance of her department, her life, or his life, right? And the company as a whole. Because maybe a payroll report is delayed. That gets the CFO pissed off. Then the accounting department, the payroll administrator looks bad. Her life is screwed up, right? In that situation, right? So there are outcomes, how it affects them, their lives, and even their company's broader impact. If they are not able to get, proper reports or proper, information on whatever they are looking for, how does that help the company, right? For example, if it's a sales kind of software, then if it is not able to give them a right visibility into what stage the deals are, right? What stage the deals are, then that affects the sales. Again, so try to understand the broader impact on the company, the person, the department, because that will give you a lot more insight, right? And then you ask them, okay, so how would you solve it? If you were to do it, what were few things you could do to actually completely make it easy for you, right? And overcome the challenges. And then they will start talking, oh, I could actually do this, I could do that. Then you can say, can you draw it? Can you show me, right? And they start drawing. And a lot of times, you get the insight that your team cannot figure out even if they spend 6 months or 12 months, right? And of course, you don't copycat everything. You take that insight and you go and try to continue to validate that with many customers, and then you come back with a potential solution, right? You're not going to just take one customer saying whatever they are saying, right? Again, even if the alternatives are your competition or some manual ways of doing things, also ask them this. Describe what you like, because there may be something they like in the current process, and if you just focus on what they don't like and try to bake that into your product, you may miss some important essential ingredients that they already like somewhere else. So you need to understand that. Okay, so these are kind of questions you can ask to get them talking, right? Step by step by step. So you should have these questions handy. You will never be able to ask all the questions, because it really you have to let the interviewer flow, right? And adjust accordingly, and ask another follow-up questions instead of sticking to your script. That's not the point. Point is to gain deep insight. Okay. So how do you request a call or a meeting, right? So if you have an existing product, I would do the first one, right? I'm in the process of defining a product roadmap for next 18 months. And I'm talking to few strategic customers. So again, few, exclusive, right? Strategic, important customers to get their input so that your priorities are taken into consideration, which is awesome for them because they are able to influence potentially the roadmap for you, right? So there is something in it for them. So this is how I would request them, right? And again, request short 30-minute call. If it is a completely new product or even a problem area, right? You can say you're an expert in this field. People, of course, like when somebody calls them expert. And I'm doing some research and would like to talk to you and get your input. People love to talk about what they are expert in, right? So some of them amazingly will take your bet, and then you'll be able to talk to them, right? So these are some of the ways to request a call or a meeting.